only was the density of this patch unexpected, some of the nerfs that came along with it and some of the buffs in actual fact. We got a massive Vox Engine nerf. We also unexpectedly got a substantial buff to our grenades. There is an absolute treasure trove of changes we're going to go through. But of course, I want to look at the new control center that's been issued to all Helldivers fleet-wide. Something I've been asking for, something that I feel is going to really broaden the scope of the Galactic War. A great welcomed addition, but we will get to that. I won't read out all of these changes, but I will scroll the details through. If you want to pause and read it yourself, you can, but the additions are great. And what's even better news is our starting grenade count has also been pushed up from 3 to 4. Our absolute maximum capacity is now bumped up to 5, and every single supply crate we find in the wild basically will now restock 3 grenades instead of just 2. Swiftly moving on to our more vehicular-based support stratagems or arsenal, whichever way you want to look at it. Instead of 10 minutes, it now takes 8 minutes for us to get our exosuits back. Win. In fact, hold the press. It's not 8 minutes, it's actually 7. We've only just scratched the surface on these changes, but does someone want to check on Arrowhead and make sure there isn't a gas leak in their office or something? As you can see, there are changes all across the board. We've already been over the cooldown being reduced from 10 to 8, but seemingly sitting at 7 minutes at the moment. The health has been increased from 400 to 550, but it's noted here that before patch 1.006.300, it was in fact 500, so there isn't an increase of 150, seemingly just 50. With regards to the armor changes and the apparent health increases of certain body parts on exosuits though, take that with a pinch of salt.
Yeah, they still know the mech is here like immediately.
The Bastion tank has also been sprinkled with a little love. It's gone from medium armor to heavy armor. Why on earth it wasn't heavy armor in the first place makes no sense. And what does this mean for tank users? Well, it means it feels like a tank. Minor threats like scavengers, hunters, lasers from just general chaff, and also explosions from the environment are now going to do 0 damage to the Bastion. It's going to feel like a tank. That goes for exosuits too. So far so good. Yep? No. And so like clockwork and typical Arrowhead fashion, here's the Monkey Paw. Some enemies have received increased armor penetration values so they can deal with the vehicles, but not all.
What do you mean by that?
And then they follow up with, there are too many changes to properly list. So we ask you to play and tell us how it feels. Why are we immediately going back to old tricks? It was just 2 months ago that we even had Pillerstead telling us that he knew that they needed to communicate better. That meant more accurate patch notes. Transparency. Doesn't necessarily matter how you feel about the patch notes, whether you think they're good or bad. This isn't good practice. Stop doing this. I'm trying not to spoil a decent thing, but we got some Sentry buffs to a degree. They increase the health of all Sentrys by 100% to compensate for the general damage increase of enemies versus vehicles. You haven't told us what these changes are. You've increased the health of all Sentrys by 100% to compensate for the general damage increase of enemies versus vehicles. But you don't want to tell us what they are, because apparently there are too many to list. Okay, so it's not all doom and gloom, fortunately, because the Vox Engine has had its health reduced from 11,000 down to 9,000, reduced max turn angle of its upper body so it cannot turn as far as it could previously, from 180 degrees down to 140. I think that has to do with something they said in the patch notes video where the body would turn around and it would cover the inlet that you could throw the grenade into when you shot each of the vents on the Vox Engine. The amount of Vox engines have also been lowered that can be active at any given time. That's down to 3. Now, they've reduced the health of their cannons from 8,000 to 3,500. And also, when you destroy the cannons, the explosion will significantly hurt the Vox engine when it dies. So they've become more tolerable, I would say. But it doesn't really matter because we don't actually know what enemies have had their durable damage output increased to. It could be the Vox Engine. So the Vox Engine could take more damage, but it could also deal more damage right now. Who knows? A number of standout orbitals were granted mercy by our Arrowhead overlords and saw some much appreciated buffs. So much so, we've seen the orbital rail cannon go from a durable and damage output of 7,500 to 10,000. My favorite of the bunch being the rocket pods, increased explosion and durable damage from 200 to 300, and armor penetration from medium to heavy. We've also seen some much welcome quality of life changes to reloading and stims. You can reload while diving now, and stimming is no longer interrupted by stagger. Now, if you're a regular on the channel, you'll know that I've been asking for this area of our Super Destroyer to be utilized in some manner, and Arrowhead have done exactly what I wanted them to do. Now, opposite your armory, you will find this panel over here has now become our control center. This is going to be the place where you can keep up to speed with the current active campaign, the current active major orders, what campaign rewards are being granted to us, and also on the right-hand side, where my ugly mug is, you will find the dispatches and the new major orders, the previous ones, everything that is going to bring you up to speed with what's currently happening in the Galactic War. It's absolutely a welcomed addition, and pressing the E button brings you over to the active campaign. That could be different on a PlayStation controller, but it gives you more details and at what position we are in the major order right now. Mitchimus has also confirmed on the Discord that there is in fact a bug right now with the major order briefing, lol, that is resulting in the wrong digit being displayed here for basically the portion of the major order right now. We are currently technically on the second part of a 3-part major order. If you click down here in the left, you will find that we failed the initial introduction to the major order. We are now on the second part, which has the Ministry of Science xenobiologists have made a discovery. Captured voteless from Basquin 8 are altered at a cellular level. You can read all of this information in this area and bring yourself up to speed with what is currently going on, because before, people used to have to go to Reddit, or they used to interact with the social media side aspect of Helldivers, which, to think about it, there's probably a lot of divers out there that aren't glued to the Discord to find out all of these most recent changes when it comes to the Galactic Wars. Word salad coming out of my mouth there. I do apologize. Now, if we go to the last page, past campaigns, there is nothing there at the moment, but hopefully Arrowhead will bring everyone up to speed with the current Galactic War, and I hope that all previous battles, including some of the most memorable that we've had since launch, will eventually be displayed here, which will then give you an understanding of as to how we've gotten to the point that we are at today. And so in closing, I would say at least 75% of these patch notes have been an absolute W, whereas there have been, well, other aspects that have really just brought it down. And despite the fantastic adjustments that we've had to the orbital strikes and also the grenades and stuff, this still bothers the piss out of me. Here we go. Some enemies have had increased armor penetration values so they can deal with vehicles, but not all. And then there are too many changes to properly list, so we ask you to play and tell us how it feels. This stuff just is what ruins what could have been a good patch and a step in the right direction and a thank you, Arrowhead. That's enough. Do carry on with what you're doing. And as I said at the beginning of the video, you need to take your hat off to them, because what they've produced is definitely evidence of them actually paying attention to what some of the feedback they've been getting. But they insist on going back. Like, we're gonna be transparent. We're gonna start like not leaving things in tiny little places for data miners to find, because you guys hate doing that. So then you just go and make these changes that data miners are then going to have to find, because we know that there's some Monkey Paw stuff going on, because you haven't told us a huge chunk of stuff that's been done to enemies that could completely negate anything that you have produced in this patch. That is what frustrates the piss out of me, and that is what unfortunately brings the patch to a kind of at the end of it. I love the fact that we've got a console now. I love the fact that that is sitting there to utilize in the game. I love it. I want more of this. Make the Super Destroyer like more interesting, so much more interesting. This thing, utilize something over here also, okay? There's more to be done. They did good, but I don't think we should be rolling out the red carpet for them, because there's still a ton of stuff that they need to work on. Especially the communication. And if you're gonna increase the durable penetration of enemies, list how many, list the ones they are, what the percentages are, and what the details are. I do not believe you, and I don't find it acceptable that oh, there are too many. No, there aren't. No, there aren't. Have you seen the size of the patch notes already? Have you seen Path of Exile's patch notes? They come with a table of contents. Like, it's inexcusable. It is inexcusable, but I hope you've enjoyed this breakdown. Sorry it's come out too late. I'm fully employed and I do other stuff as a family man. It's very difficult getting these videos out as soon as I can. But I hope you've enjoyed it. If you've got any counterpoints or you've got any points yourself, leave them in the comment section down below. You can also find information on where to find me online, and also join in the community by joining the Discord. But you can also join the channel on YouTube if you do fancy that. Thanks for watching, everybody. It's enough of me. Go and enjoy the patch. See you later. Bye.